never would have believed that I would be hosting an interview on this platform all the way in Brazil, but here we are, everyone. I would like to thank you for your support in helping this platform grow so we can all get our messages out to the world. It is an honor to host this show, and the people are incredibly courageous in sharing their stories. Today's guest has a mental health journey that may resonate with many of you listening on. Have you ever been in a relationship too long to the point where it had negative effects on your long-term mental health? Stay tuned for ways to grow and more. With that, I would like to welcome you to another episode of your favorite podcast, A Mental Health Break. I'm your host and author of the books, Mr. Lancy Talks Mental Health and Mental Health Week. This is the place where we talk all things mental health. In case you are new to the show, I interview new mental health advocates and professionals each week from around the world. When I was 21 years old, I was the victim of a hit-and-run accident while on foot. After coming out of a coma and suffering a traumatic brain injury, I learned it was time to make my mental health a priority. Before I bring on today's amazing guest, I would like to share that this episode today is brought to you by Tampa Counseling and Wellness, dedicated to helping individuals look to positively transform their lives through compassionate counseling and wellness coaching. If you struggle with depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues, call today for a free consultation. Therapy that inspires change, and their info is in this episode bio. But after falling in love and then staying in a relationship too long, today's guest ended up with anxiety and PTSD. After a year of trying different modalities, he found that while therapy and personal development had a lot of helpful tools, these tools were mostly focused on managing the problems, managing the symptoms, but not solving these things permanently. So Daniel spent 10 years to reverse engineer a process that if you work the steps, the anxiety and PTSD are permanently gone in as little as 4 weeks. That is a bold claim, but he is going to share all about how that is more than possible. So if that doesn't get you excited, I'm not sure what else I can do, but I am excited to learn this guest story in detail. So allow me to now bring him on. Daniel Packard. Daniel, thank you for joining the show. And Josh, thank you for the introduction.
It is an honor to be here, and that is a great intro. One of the benefits of being a guest on podcasts is you get an intro, and it feels so good. So I want to tell everybody out there, just get Vince to follow you around in the morning and just sort of hype you up. Like, this is Carl. Carl is waking up and uses Crest toothpaste. It's got my juices flowing. Thank you. And you are maybe the first Vince I've ever spoken to, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk to a real live Vince.
Well, I am excited and grateful for your time. Would you mind giving our audience a bit of a preview of who you are without diving in too much on the mental health side, because we're just moments away from that?
Well, it's what you said. I mean, I had anxiety my whole life, and I figured, all right, maybe I just have to deal with this my whole life, because therapists tried to help me, but it was always there. I could manage it. And then, I fell in love with this woman, and it was you complete me and all that good stuff. And we lived happily ever after. No, it went horribly sideways, as these things can happen. And I used all my personal development tools to survive it. And I was pretty good in it. But then when it was over, my nervous system just collapsed, and I was in constant terror. The tiniest thing just freaked me the F out. And it was so scary. One is, it was happening. Two, I didn't even know what the hell was going on. And then three, I started looking for answers. I went to therapists, personal development, spirituality, and they would say things that sounded pretty good and helped a little bit, but there was no real solution, which sucked because I had it, but also it made me freak out even more, because I thought, am I going to be stuck with this forever? Am I going to be trapped? Am I going to lose my life forever? So it compounded the anxiety and the PTSD. And so just out of desperation, because as you know, when you have PTSD and anxiety, now you're exhausted because you're not supposed to be freaking out all the time. So it leads to depression. So I'm terrified, horrified, and depressed. And I'm just like, why live? Just
Yeah.
why
Thank,
live? And nothing's helping. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right?
thank you for bringing up exactly what you went through right away in the story. It really helps me as I try to dictate where the show goes. I'd like to really ask you to hone in on the mental health disparities that you experienced. We heard a little bit just now about depression, anxiety, PTSD. If you could please describe maybe some symptoms, some ways you were affected to help our listeners.
Well, the symptoms were just that the tiniest things, someone being late, someone interrupting me, things that maybe I just wouldn't like, my whole body went into lockdown. I thought I was going to die. I go into tunnel vision. I felt absolutely powerless. And so instead of continuing to go to therapy, which wasn't working, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I just thought maybe I could solve this. Maybe I could figure something out that other people didn't do. And so I thought of the end goal, which is that I wanted to be calm and peaceful consistently. I didn't want to keep managing symptoms. And so I engineered a process for me that would work, that had simple, basic steps. And in about 2 to 3 months, the symptoms began to just collapse. And not only did they collapse and not come back, but the process allowed, it was very simple because it was engineered. And I thought, oh my God, I got to share this with the world, because the world is just dying and nobody has a real solution. I mean, professional therapists are prescribing drugs. Like, that's not a good sign. And so I went around the world to Africa and India and Asia, because I thought, if this really works, if it really works, then it should work anywhere in the world. And I wanted to test it. And so now I have this process that in about 4 weeks, if you have anxiety or PTSD and you want it gone, solved, the process does that. And I know it seems like an incredibly, you should be skeptical. Like, when you're hearing this, be like, oh my God, like, is this guy kidding me? And I get that, because most things don't work. But I hope that you are curious, because you don't have to live like this. I know it feels like it, but you don't. You can really be free of this. That's what I want for the world, is that, people don't feel like they're in this prison.
Well, thank you for your courage sharing all of this. And it seems like you came a long way from really, it seems like a very difficult time in your life. Was this when you first started sharing your story relating to mental health after the breakup, or was it something you always did?
I was a comedian for a long time, and then my comedy naturally evolved into my life, but it was mostly around being insecure and, being awkward with women. But, when the PTSD hit, it was lights out. I mean, my life was over. It just controlled it. And so I stopped performing because I had to figure this out. There was no comedy because I was in terror all the time and I was depressed. And so when I discovered this process that really went deep, I had to go deep to figure it out. The depth that I understood in myself, and the depth that I understood people's pain mechanically, because I'm an engineer, I really saw that, oh my God, like, it's one thing to tell jokes about, hey, I had pimples when I was a kid and I couldn't get laid. Like, that's one message. But oh my God, I think I've figured out something that can help the planet heal from the pain they're in. That became what I wanted to share. And now I'm a lot less funny. I used to be funnier, but like, I am serious about this, Vince. And if you're listening, like, I really, really care, because I know the pain people are in and I know they don't have to be in that pain. So that's what grabs me. That's what I want to share with the world.
Yeah, and it's a lot of respect I give you for really going out of your way. It really took you your whole life by storm. I feel you actually dedicated your life to solving these problems. You weren't gonna let the problem dictate you, but rather you dictate that problem. And I love seeing people do that, because it is extremely courageous. And that courageous act hopefully spreads to others and gives them the confidence they need to do the same. But if you could pick two things that worked for you here, Daniel, and I say just two because I want your two most lights out choices, what are some things you do on the short term and long term that really help you stay mentally healthy?
Ooh, okay. This is a little bit of, I wouldn't say a loaded question. So my whole thing is that I don't want people doing any more short-term fixes. That's what's being taught, and there's value in it. It helps, but it also confuses people so that they don't try and be free of it completely, which is what I want to educate the world. So I don't want to go towards, but I will because you're asking. So first I'll say the long term. Long term, and I mean this, and this is a shameless plug because I am selling this medicine. Come find me, please. Like, if you want to be free of this, that's the best long-term thing you can do is experience this process so you at least know you can be free of this. That would be the long term. Short term, I would share what I wish I'd known, what I didn't know in the beginning of PTSD and what I know now. And that is that if you are paying attention, the PTSD or my PTSD for me was a real gift. Because we only grow through pain. Like I consider myself a relatively aware person. I'm always working on myself. And I'm telling you, I don't like to grow. It sucks. It's uncomfortable. You're wrong. I like to be comfortable. I like that. But the universe, God, whoever's up there looking out for us knows we only listen when there's pain. And anxiety and PTSD is so painful, you can't hide. You have to face it. And there's a gift in that, which is that you will do things you normally wouldn't do. And the gift of it is it forced me to go deeper to the root cause and heal it so that I could be free of it once and for all. So when I was halfway through, it didn't feel like a gift, but now I am so grateful because now not only is my anxiety and PTSD gone, but I live in this constant calm. And so if you're struggling, which you are, with anxiety and PTSD, I know you want to judge it. It's horrible. It gets in the way of your life. It keeps you from being you and being the leader and father and wife you want to be. I get that. However, if you're paying attention and you're listening to the signs, the extremeness is a profound gift because it's not letting you hide anymore. And it's trying to get your attention to get yourself the healing that the universe wants for you. So it's a gift. Listen to it, see it as a gift, and find out what it's trying to teach you. If that takes you to me, I would love that. So we can solve this once and for all in 4 weeks, guaranteed. But either way, please see the pain, if you can, as a real gift because it's here to help you.
It teaches you lessons. All of our difficult times, they make us stronger for the future, and it changes the way our future would go about. But I'm hearing the voice. You're doing so well now, and it's great to see. But what are some ways you're going to continue to raise awareness for the importance of mental health in the future? Do we have any more products coming out? Are we growing this? Please share with us.
Yeah, so the first thing, I have the process that heals the anxiety and the PTSD in a matter of weeks, guaranteed. If it doesn't work, you don't pay. But I've realized people were telling me, Daniel, nobody believes you. Like, you have to get out there. First, I have just to educate people that solving this is a real option because therapists, meditation, it's symptom management. So everybody's just educated that that's kind of where the markers are. So I'm going around lecturing, being in colleges, going into schools, podcasts, just educating people. Hey, this is completely solvable. So I'm educating people and I'm coaching people. And I'm also, because the process is very simple and systematic, it's perfect for institutions because I don't have to teach it. It's like an inner gym. Anyone can follow the steps. And so I'm working to get it into schools. I'm working with the organization in South Africa that deals with addiction, and we're rolling it out. We want to roll it out in the whole country. I'm working with a very large company that builds curriculums for companies because the process is simple, it's effective, it gets permanent results, and it's an inner gym that anybody can do because I'm an engineer, and we're working on a product called Anxiety for Engineers. And it's basically for technical people who are very in the head and aren't really connected to their feelings, but you're able to use your mind to heal your feelings, which is such a sexy concept. So that's what I'm doing right now. Do you see how excited I am? I get really jazzed about this.
I enjoy the passion that guests bring on because that really just provides that much more value when I'm able to find guests who truly love to make changes and help the world. Stick around to the end of the episode. You're going to find out exactly how to try out his method and get in touch with him. But before that, it is time for the Spotlight Story. If this is your first show with us, enjoy the next part. I share the mental health story of someone in the limelight because I want to let you, the listeners, know you are not alone. You need to understand that even though someone looks healthy from the outside, they may not be the same on the inside. And I am now going to introduce Brad Pitt. He's had many mental health challenges that stem from his divorce with Angelina Jolie. The article describes Pitt recognizing that he was using substances as, quote, pacifiers for deeper issues. Rather than running from feelings, his separation from Angelina allowed him to realize the harm alcohol addiction was starting to cause. Here's a quote to start it out. I had to step away for a minute, he said, realizing he had a problem. And truthfully, I could drink a Russian under the table with his own vodka. I was a professional. I was good. Alcohol wasn't the only thing, though. I learned, quote, I can't remember a day since I got out of college where I wasn't boozing or had a spliff or something. Something. After giving up marijuana and other substances in favor of family life, alcohol was the one vice that remained, but that didn't mean it was an innocent one. I want to end with one more quote that may resonate with some of you. I've become absolutely tired of myself. Pitt isn't alone in this struggle, though. After all, Hollywood is famous for lavish depictions of drug and alcohol. Many people deal with it out there, and he chalks it up to being, quote, part of the human challenge. Daniel, what do you take away from this story?
I mean, it's the heartbreak that I feel because the mental health industry, I don't know why, it so lags behind physical health. And this is a guy who's smart, capable, has all the resources in the world, and there's no real solution. He knows about it. He's dealing with it. It's affecting his work. And even he couldn't solve it. But, like, you know, if he broke his leg, he'd go to a doctor and fix. You wouldn't hear, like, I'm Brad Pitt and I've had a broken leg for 30 years and I'm still walking on. No, when it's a physical injury or problem, it's solved. But when it comes to mental, it's just like even wealthy people, there's no solution. And I felt that. And that's why I developed this process, was to solve this thing. And actually, I have a friend who's coaching a celebrity, and they brought me in because this person had all this money but no solutions. And I'm working with that celebrity to help them with their dating life and their overthinking. And so Brad Pitt couldn't find a solution because there's no real solution out there that I know of. And so, Brad, if you're listening, baby doll, I love you. I love your work. But we need to demand more from our mental health industry, or at least if you're a mental health professional, just admit, say, you know what, we don't have a solution and we need to go find one, and just be honest about it. Because if we can be honest that there's no solution and that that's a real problem, then maybe people like me or other people will begin to look for a solution. So please, everybody, let's demand solutions. We demand it from our physical doctors. Let's demand it from our emotional doctors. But in the meantime, I have a solution. So, Brad, or if you're listening to this, please come find me so you can be free of this in a few weeks.
That would be great to have Brad try it out. And it is a testament to both of you to, if you want to turn something around, you have to set your mind to it. In your case, you went above and beyond. You're someone who created something that can help so many people, and I'm honored to do a small part, hopefully spread some of that awareness. And with that, I really want to thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on the show today. I had a great time getting to know you. And again, Josh Granowitz has been on all the shows. When he had a recommendation for the show, I had to listen. So I also want to thank you for sharing the vulnerable moments right from the start. You found something you didn't like about yourself. You weren't happy with something, and you didn't let it affect you anymore. You showed the courage that anything is possible to do that. And I thank you. I appreciated your tangible advice for the short and long-term initiatives. But I would like to stop now for your last word.
Well, it's what I have is really special. It didn't exist until I built it. I engineered it, so it's rare. So if you're hearing this podcast, you're hearing something rare, which is that I reverse engineer solution to mental health. And I know you're trapped, and I know you're hurting, and I know you don't have a solution because it's not out there other than this. I know it sounds like a big plan. Be skeptical. Please reach out to me with 20-minute, and I will teach the process. You will see how profoundly simple. It's not lick a toad or pray to any extraterrestrial. It's dead simple. And you will feel your anxiety or PTSD dissolving out of your system right away. So again, if you're out there and you want to solve this and be out of pain in 4 weeks, guaranteed, meaning if it doesn't work, you don't pay. If you want to be free, and I know you do because I've been there, please reach out to me at danielpackard.com/call. There's a link, get on my calendar, danielpackard.com/call, get on the calendar so I can help you get the hell out of here because it sucks and it doesn't have to.
Well, thank you for being so generous with your time. And I would like to now ask you, I know we're not big on social media, but is there any other ways to contact you?
I mean, I got Instagram, but like, man, if your house is flooding, like just get your house out of danger. So I don't even go there because I want people to I want the solution to be first. So I don't worry about that stuff too much. I want the people that are in pain to get help. So that's the way I serve the world. So I don't even want to, I mean, yes, you can go find me on social media, but ultimately it doesn't matter. What matters is getting people out of pain quickly. And that's what I do. So just follow the link, call me, have some courage, be skeptical, but open, listen to your heart, and come find me. Don't go on Instagram. That'll just make your anxiety worse. Another reason not to go on Instagram. Just reach out to me, danielpackard.com/call so we can get you peace and calm.
Absolutely. Well, while you're checking out his great site, scheduling a call with him, be sure to check out the show. We are at a mental health break on all platforms except Twitter. We're at Podcasts by Lancey to get updates from all 4 shows. Of course, I'm at Vincent A. Lancey on all YouTube and social media, and my website is vincentalancy.com. If you check out Mental Health Week or Mr. Lancey Talks Mental Health, reach out. I'd love to hear what you think. And with that, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week on a mental health break.